Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to another book review. And what if your sense of humor was also your lifeline? Meet Yumi Chung, an 11-year-old with a notebook full of punchlines, parents who are laser focused on grades, and a family restaurant on the brink of bankruptcy. In Jessica Kim's stand up Yumi Chong, comedy isn't just a hobby, it's how a kid juggles bullying, Hagwon pressure, and the immigrant two worlds tightrope. So I will tell you about the laughs that you can find in this book and how identity gets tangled when you pretend to be someone you're not. And what this story says about finding your voice. So, stand up, Yumi Chong. Sorry, hello, I'm Barry. This is Seoul Book Club. Stand Up Yumi Chung by Jessica Kim was published in 2020. It isn't a translation. Usually, I'm reviewing Korean novels that have been translated into English, but this is a middle grade novel written in English for young teens and middle schoolers. And Jessica Kim taught third, fourth, and fifth grade in New York public schools for a decade. And she describes herself as writing about Asian American girls finding their way in the world. And this debut fits that mission perfectly. And there's a very interesting interview you can find online where she said that the story was inspired by the complexities of being second generation and sort of constantly toggling between a parent's culture and the American one you grew up in. And that's exactly what this charming, funny, and uplifting novel explores. So, what is the background to this story? Who is Yumi Chong and what is happening in her life as the story begins? So, Yumi has just finished sixth grade, and at about 11 or 12, she's counting down to the seventh grade. And so this is where she is at the beginning of the book. Her parents run a Korean restaurant in a sort of redeveloped neighborhood. But business is extremely bad, and they're facing eviction if they can't pay the rent, and they are behind in the rent. So the landlord is harassing them for the late rent, the overdue rent. And in classic Tiger Mom and Dad fashion, they want Yumi to focus entirely on her academic performance. And they hold her older sister over her, who is a perfect student and is now in medical school. And so they sort of force Yumi to enroll in a local Korean Hagwon. Hagwon is essentially a kind of a cram school, and this particular Hagwon is run by a notoriously strict teacher. And Yumi's parents discourage her from doing anything that distracts from studying. And this is especially true for her beloved hobby of stand up comedy. Yumi, however, would rather spend every spare minute crafting jokes and making punchlines and so on instead of cramming for tests in the Hagwon. So the story opens and very quickly introduces us to these stakes. And once the stakes are in place, we kind of know what the story's about. So, can she win the scholarship that her parents want for her for by cramming in the cram school? Can she convince them to accept her love of comedy? And will they save their family restaurant? Reading this, I thought it was a little peculiar, if I'm being honest. Stand up comedy seems like an unusual hobby for an 11-year-old. But then again, I do remember watching an Eddie Murphy stand up special when I was probably 11 or 12 or something like that. But I guess it's an unusual and interesting angle. And partly, I guess, I don't interact with 11 or 12-year-olds very often. I don't teach that age group. And my nieces and nephews are either much older now or a bit younger. So I wasn't really sure if stand-up comedy is really a thing for this age group, but apparently it is. And for Yumi, it's extremely an extremely important part of her life. And so anyway, she has all these sort of problems going on at the same time. She's bullied at school. She's pressured by her demanding parents, loving but demanding parents. And she also has this additional burden of being constantly compared to the perfect and idealized older sister. And so, to deal with all of these tribulations, she copes through comedy. And she's obsessed with a YouTuber called Jasmine Jasper, who honestly sounds insufferable. But again, what do I know? And anyway, Jasmine Jasper's tutorials teach kids how to be funny. And yeah, anyway, and so Yumi watches Jasmine's routines and feels like she's not alone. There's someone else out there who, who understands her. And she says, it was nice to know that I'm not the only one who gets awkward in certain social situations. In some ways, I feel like Jasmine Jasper gets me, maybe more than anyone else in my life. So comedy becomes kind of a refuge for her from the problems that she's having. And it's also her ambition, right? So she spends most of her time sort of trying to put together material in her little notebook, in her joke book. But of course, her parents strongly disapprove of this pursuit. And as Jessica Kim has noted in that interview that I mentioned, many immigrant parents nudge their children away from risky paths like comedy toward stable, predictable careers. And Yumi doesn't want that path. She wants to follow her passion, right? And the novel tenderly captures this tension between her creative drive and ambition and her family's perhaps well-founded fears. Anyway, what message is Jessica Kim trying to give to young readers with this story? So, at its heart, at its core, Stand Up Yumi Chung is about being true to yourself. So much of the story follows Yumi sort of pretending to be someone she's not, and the confusion and trouble that follow doing this. But then she finally reconciles who she is with who she wants to be, and finds genuine peace and happiness. It's a good pick for young teens, and an insightful window into the immigrant experience, and even maybe a light primer on stand-up comedy for younger readers, and just generally a life affirming and amusing read that's full of positive messages. So anyway, if this helped you choose your next read, hit the buttons, ring the bells, and if you want more reviews, I will see you back here in the next review. So take care and see you next time.